welcome to Going 19, episode 20. Today we continue our discussion on It from Stephen King, covering chapters 7, 8, and 9 from part 2, as well as the second interlude. I am Ed. With me are Ali and Amber. Let's start the show. Hello.
Oh, what's up?
What?
Oh, never mind. I said what's up, but that's not what I meant.
I am up. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Yeah, I had to get up at like 8 o'clock and read the second interlude. I didn't make it to that.
That is literally what I did. Like same time, same amount of reading.
Same bed.
I just finished it, yeah.
It's important though. The black spot is very important.
Oh, yeah.
I had reread the first half of this book a few years back when they did the first remake, and I remember some parts of it very vividly, and that scene or that story was one of them, and I almost was like dreading reading it again just because I remember how horrible it was.
It was just as horrible, and I forgot how racist it was. It's almost uncomfortable at this point.
I think it should be uncomfortable, and it's
I get what he's. Okay, so let's.
Sorry, yeah, we're jumping into it already.
So what are we at? Going 19, episode 20, part 2, chapters 7, 8, 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the second interlude.
Yeah.
Okay. So, go. I guess we're going. So yeah, the black spot is bad. I mean, I get that he like is trying to make the characters like they would be at the time, but these. Even like rural Maine, it's like Jesus, it was everywhere.
I was gonna say it's interesting hearing a story like that somewhere so far north, where obviously there was slavery everywhere, but I think people typically tend to forget that there was slavery everywhere and racism everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope there wasn't slavery in 1930, but there was definitely
racism that stems from that. I mean, or tied together. Maybe not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I imagine. Anyway, I printed some synopses, but they're long and so I've been going up these like a 5 paragraphs for each chapter. It seems like a lot.
I mean, this one it kind of works nicely with the last section where we had. Oh my god, I can't even remember who we read last time. Ben, Bill, and someone else.
I mean, interlude might as well be called Mike's part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I did think it was strange that we got Stan's story through Beverly's part. Like, yes, Stan doesn't get his own section.
There was a lot of inception. Yeah, because Beverly was on the plane or wherever she was. Yes, she was on the plane. But
yeah.
He was somewhere. And
She's
she was
plane.
Remembering meeting Stan, who was telling the story of the standpipe.
Right.
And every time he said the word standpipe and the big white and these in the windows, I can picture it perfectly. It's not even hard.
Oh, I know. I couldn't not picture it. And even I was trying to line it up with the real one, and I'm like, that's not how that looks, though. I'm like, well, wait, it's just inspired by.
No, it was pretty close.
Well, not the standpipe. I meant the location where he said it was like down from, like he couldn't see it from the bird bath. I was like, no.
Well, yeah, you can definitely see it from the bird bath. It did slope down though, the whole entire area.
Yeah, that's true. It did. Yeah, I was picturing that view where they said you could go up to the gallery and look out over the town. I was like, you sure can.
Yeah, I was picturing him sitting on that bench, just looking at both sides, going, and then like, scribbling something in the notebook.
Didn't Jamie say that there were kids that drowned in it, and that's why they officially locked the door? Like, I feel like a lot of that was true.
Did he say that? I don't remember.
I meant to look it up. I totally forgot.
I meant to look up what that Latin meant, and I asked Google, but Google didn't know. and that's as far as.
Allie, by the way, one of the prominent features of the Stephen King tour is the standpipe and the bird bath. So it's like those are real things in Bangor.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, you can send her a picture or show it to her or something.
Oh yeah, that's true. I can send it in the group chat.
Yeah, I'm not doing it right now. So we start with Eddie. I like the way they tell the story of the Barons. I mean, we're almost 500 pages in, and we kind of just finished that story of them building the dam, and it took a really long time to do it. But
it's also the story of them coming together. So same point. It takes a while for them to all kind of get together as a crew.
Yeah, it's like 400 pages, and we're just like starting to meet Beverly and Stan. Like, geez, the book could be over by now. Patterson, it would be 2 books. Geez. But I like the way he just kind of keeps switching perspectives, but keeps the story thread of the Barons and the dam going.
Right. Well, I kind of mentioned this briefly at work with Allie, and I were talking about it yesterday, where it's like it's a very strange narrative style, because it's like it's not quite third person, but it's also not quite what did you say? You said it's between oh my god, I can't remember that word. Allie, what did you say?
Person, omnipotent, and first person. So like you get what they're thinking and wondering what other people are thinking, but also like, but the narrator also knows everything.
Right, yeah, like you have all perspectives.
Which it almost seems to switch with the past and the present too, a little bit. But I don't know.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, there's not, because in the present they're not really like thinking about other people's thoughts at all. It's all about, well, they're also kind of doing the whole flashback thing, so it's confusing. But
yeah,
you know, after reading the second interlude, I'm thinking Mike has had a much more horrible existence than everyone else, because he's had to remember what happened the entire time, because I'm assuming he didn't do any forgetting, and you know, he spent the last 18 months dreading whether he has to remind all of them of what happened. Like he's lived with this for 27 years. Like they all got to go away and forget that it ever even happened, while he had to hold it and, you know, spend the next 30 years looking for signs that it's coming back. Like high alert for 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely like 100 times more horrible than what they've gone through. They got to go away, be successful, and forget about it. Although Bev didn't exactly live a great life, but
and you know, none of them had kids. I don't know what that means, because there's just no way that's not
coincidence,
or there's no way that's coincidence, because 7 people, there'd have been at least probably 10 kids in there at a minimum.
Yeah, I wonder. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's been a while since I've read it, but don't they mention that somewhere in it?
I think Mike mentions it maybe to Bill, or maybe in one of the interludes at some point, that they're all successful at what they do, yet none of them have any offspring. So
yeah,
it's like there's a trade-off.
And I feel like that's definitely connected in some way. Like maybe this, like saying you have unfinished business somewhere and you cannot procreate until that business is finished.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like they can't have kids because that would they wouldn't come back maybe if they had kids.
Yeah, or like if they have kids, they'll lose whatever ability that they had as a child, and they would transfer it to their child. So instead of being able to fight and defeat the spider at the end, then they would, you know, or it would pass on to their kids or something as a result.
Spider at the end, I don't know what that is.
Well, we also just mentioned that they talk about them not being able to have kids somewhere along the line. So
I guess
I think
if you don't know there's a spider at this point, then keep reading, I guess. There will be a spider and a turtle somewhere in the next 600 pages. So I don't know. I don't know that I have a lot to say about building the dam. I mean, Ben's definitely ingrained architect, and I think So Eddie's flashback is where Richie shows up, I think. Oh, by the way, Eddie's driving in a limo, of course, and he.
Oh, is it the sign?
Yep.
I wrote that down too.
Well, I noticed how it didn't say lottery or liquor store, but it made me want to drink a gamble.
Sorry, finish what you were gonna say though.
Go ahead. It made me want to drink and gamble. That's all.
Well, no, we didn't actually say what you saw.
Oh, sorry. Boston's well behind him now, and the fog is starting to burn off. Ahead is Maine, New Hampshire, all northern ahead is Maine, New Hampshire, all northern New England points.
Yeah,
I wrote that down. You can't have a New Hampshire sign without saying lottery and liquor.
But I said if that sign, oh yeah, I'm sorry. If that sign is real, we probably have seen that.
Right.
Well, I feel like there are definitely signs on the highway that are like Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, depending on what state you're in. Like, I just did that drive this summer, so.
Allie, have you made it up have you been up that way?
I haven't made it to Bangor.
Let's say Maine, New Hampshire, Boston area. Have you made it that far?
Oh yeah.
She was just in Maine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, it's that short-term memory. What can you do?
No, you're good.
Did we talk about the signs last week or last time?
I don't think we've gotten to Richie's part, so we wouldn't have Eddie's part.
We're in New Hampshire for 20 minutes, Amber, and there's at least 5 signs that say lottery and liquor this exit.
Mm-hmm. And it's like a half a mile, strip. Like it's like not like there's a big commute. You know what I mean? Like a big center or something like that. It's like a little rest stop. And there's so many of them. I'm like, Jesus, these people must really need to drink and gamble.
Like every 3 exits. Like they really like to drink and gamble in New Hampshire. Remember, I asked Sarah about the signs.
They have the duty-free liquor stores.
What does that mean?
Tax-free.
Oh, so that they're trying to get income from that. Okay, that makes
people
more sense.
are coming from Maine and Massachusetts to buy liquor in New Hampshire.
Or anyone traveling through, they're like, "Hey, you can get liquor here."
Yep.
Right. Maybe we should stop. Next time maybe we should actually stop and drink and gamble and see how that goes.
Actually, I'd be down for that.
I don't know, maybe the drinking might not work out so well. But we could do some scratch up. Okay.
One thing that I wrote down about when they're in the Barrens building the dam, I was like, when they're joking around before they start building it, I was like, I felt a strange feeling at first, and I couldn't really figure it out. And it kind of ties into what we were saying before. I was like, oh, this is one of the first moments where there's actually like they're having a good time. They're not in fear of their life. They're not in fear of something else. Like they're not in danger. They're just guys having joking around, having fun on a Saturday or whatever. And I was like, it's so weird to have to feel good for these characters when it's just constantly fear.
It's almost amazing that they have that capability, especially I forgot how bad Neibolt Street was. My God.
I don't know why they keep going back to these places.
Yeah, and what does Bill do? It's like, let's go check it out. Or she's like, let's go look at the picture. Let's go look at the house. No.
Why do you need to prove it?
Yeah, I'm kind of a fan on that. Like, no, I'm good. What do you mean do? I don't want to do anything.
Well, Stan's
maybe that's the reason Stan had to die, though. Maybe that's why he couldn't come back, because he wasn't really willing to help in the first place.
Yeah, Stan was like the weakest link. He was the one, obviously, but in retrospect, he was the one that didn't want to believe, and they had to talk. Remember, they're all like, he's like, no, and they're like, yes, no, yes, no. Like they had to almost rein him in to make him accept the truth of it and what they had to do.
I know we're not there yet, but I really I didn't remember this from before, and I think it gives us a lot more perspective into why Stan killed himself. But I really, really like his bit, while he's telling his story and what he says about being offended. He's like, there are worse things than fear, because there are things that are offensive to your nature of being. Once you open that door to accept that things are not the way that they should be, then your reality could be gone before you know it. And he's like, I can't do that.
I read that part last night, and I kind of meant, like, at first I'm like, what do you mean he was offended? And then when you keep reading it, you're like, you know what? It's perfectly worded almost. Was my thought, because it offends Stan's sense, of the world, of reality, of the way things are, and exactly. Like, if you accept that, then everything you know is gone, and it offends your sense of you, of reality, of the world around you.
Yeah, like I like you said, I think Stephen King did a fantastic job with that section.
He has
I mean, all of them, but
in this one too. I think some of the Richie stuff was like 10 pages of who cares.
Oh, there are paragraphs where I'm like, okay, cool. Like you can gloss over the whole thing, or like nothing important, got it.
Yeah, there was. I gotta tell you, those paragraphs I just kind of glazed over. I was like, oh, good thing I've read this before. Like I can get the gist without going word for word. And then
sorry, one thing real quick about Eddie in the beginning of his section. He says, I think this is when he's a kid too. He says it's not a virus or a phantom fever. So like he can clearly recognize that some of the illnesses are not real. I don't know if that's because people are just starting to tell him or if he suspects it himself, but I just feel bad for him.
He's known. Okay, so Eddie and the what is it? A respirator, aspirator. It is definitely psychosomatic, and he throws these little, like every time he goes to use the respirator, it's when he gets aspirator. I don't know what the word is, but
it's aspirator.
Inhaler.
Well, yeah, that might be a better word for it. Every time he goes to use it, it's when he's stressed out. So there's definitely a tie-in to when he starts to get anxiety, he starts hitting it. So it's not every time something happens, like he hits the inhaler.
Right, he's using it like to soothe like panic attacks. Almost.
It's like a security blanket.
Right.
And even as an adult, where he's known for, I don't know, 27 years, let's say, it's nothing but Hydrox. He still uses it.
That's the same as people with extreme OCD, where logically, you don't have to tap the doorknob 3 times or the house will set on fire, but your brain still tells you like that's actually going to happen.
I mean, knowing that it's all crap doesn't stop you from seeing it, right? Kind of like, well, we'll get to that too.
And as we've learned, I think from almost all of them now, it's not so much what you use to help you fight Pennywise, it's just how much you believe it will work.
I wrote that down somewhere on one of the sides of the page. Like, belief is the key. I think it was Stan reciting the bird name. But like, it's all about belief. It doesn't matter what your weapon is, as long as you believe that weapon is going to work.
I think for me, it started with Mike, because that was when I first. Maybe it was before that, but that was when I first noticed when he was like, all hope was lost with the bird. And then he was just like, you know what? Why am I afraid of this? Like, I'm not afraid of you.
Well, Mike started throwing projectiles at it. I took it more like the bird was like, whoa, that kind of hurts.
Well, that's true. But it's also an ancient monster. Like, I feel like it would be able to defend itself. So it was, I guess I was thinking it was both.
I feel like something that's been around for thousands, millions of years should probably be able to eat any of these kids without a problem.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a much shorter book.
But I think sorry.
No, I'm just agreeing. Like,
I think that's part of what we're saying is that like when you I don't know, like once you show that you're not as afraid, or you start to show that maybe you won't be afraid at all, like it doesn't have the power.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that, especially in the end games. And I think there's isn't there a classic scene where Eddie's like, "This is battery acid, you bastard."
That's in the movie. This is battery acid, you slime.
Yeah, I wonder if that's in the book or if that's a movie. Remember?
I guess we'll find out. Matt and I just watched the original.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nice. Wait,
I couldn't help.
Did you get certain people in Newtown to watch it with you?
We were here.
Okay, well, you know what I mean, though.
No.
Did your boyfriend watch it?
I just said Matt and I just watched the original.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. Awesome. Isn't he like not a fan? So that's a big deal, right?
Well, it's not that he's not a fan. He just is not a big fan of horror because he doesn't like being scared. So I asked him, and I was like, okay, well, we should probably watch the first one then because the first one's not really scary.
Says you. I was, 21 and just finished reading a book when I saw that. Yeah, I guess it wasn't like pretty scary. I'm sure I spent the whole time going, no, in the book, this is what happened. This is all wrong.
Oh, that's definitely what I was doing at first. And I was like, I'm sorry, I need to stop. And I was like, but I just read this section. Like, why did they change that detail? That's so strange.
Although Tim Curry is pretty awesome. I mean, that's...
His Pennywise, I love Bill Skarsgård too, but they're just very different. Like...
And I get that like the Tim Curry one at first, I could see Georgie laughing with. The Skarsgård one, I was like, no, I don't see anything warm or fuzzy about that clown. And maybe the intervening years have soured me on the whole clown thing. I don't. That's probably part of it. But yeah, Tim Curry's just...
Well, plus the Tim Curry Pennywise, he just messes with them. Like he just seems like he's having a great time, like ruining their lives.
Yeah, and I like the way he laughs and chuckles and it's maniacal and fun all at the same time.
Well, and I feel like that's almost more akin with the book because, like, he's trying to kill them, but it almost seems to take its time and have fun with it instead of just going right in for like, I'm going to murder you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's playing with his food.
Exactly.
Yeah, he definitely like Skarsgård's more like the book, but I just like Tim Curry better. Even though like his colors are wrong, I just like the whole thing. Like maybe he should have and by the way, I don't think I've ever seen a clown in a gray suit. I thought that was a weird color choice.
I've never actually seen a clown, so
I mean, I've seen some at carnivals, not in a long time, but you know.
I like mimes have that muted color palette, but I agree, clowns typically don't.
Aren't mimes black and white? At least in my memory they are.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know. I think I've seen one mime ever, and I wanted to like yell at him, but I didn't.
Well, he wouldn't have yelled back.
Well, he would have, but it was been with his hand. Like, if I walked up and said, "Hey, you're an asshole," I don't know what he would have like. Would he have like hand tingled that I'm an asshole too, or something? Like, how do you get in a mime fight?
I'm actually picturing it in my head. I've seen enough cartoons
funny,
and stuff.
A bad person? Well, no, mimes aren't disabled. They just choose to do that. Yeah. Like the one with the more demonstrative hands wins, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that's what you call off track. And can I say I've been listening, obviously to the audiobook on the way back and forth to work. Bill's stutter is so much more annoying when you're listening to it than when you're reading it. And what I realize is I just kind of skip over the stuttery parts when I read it in my mind and get to what he's trying to say.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, instead of like saying the stuttery parts in the audiobook, like, and the guy's awesome in it. So he, like, you can hear him struggling to get the word out, and you're like, oh my god, just fucking say it. They're like, I actually know what they're going through, I guess, now in the book. And it sounds bad to say, but it makes you uncomfortable. Like, just like you want to finish every sentence for him.
Yeah, there's a member at work actually who has a bad stutter. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but
yeah, right.
Yep, it's kind of like that where you're like, I know what you want to say, but you don't want to finish it for them because then you kind of feel bad, like.
And then you just sit there with like looking all like sad and sympathetic.
Yeah.
Ben's lunch was quite extensive. Oh, what's a sluice way anyway? That's like the thing they open and close in the dam that lets the water in and out, right?
A lot of that dam stuff, I was just like, cool, got it, moving on.
Yeah, I'm not sure how 11-year-old knows about sluice ways.
Same with the sewage system stuff. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and some of the technical dam, I'm like, damn, did he do research on a dam? Because when he draws that picture, I'm like, I don't know what half that shit means. you need the back brace and you need the front brace and you need to put the concrete in the sides, but all we have is rocks and mud, so that's gonna have to work for now. And then
he must have had the thought like, oh, they're gonna build a dam, and then he was like, I wonder how you build a dam. He like asked someone or looked it up and was like, yeah, we'll put that in there.
maybe he built dams in the Barrens as a kid and it never worked. And he was like, if I was gonna build a dam that would actually work, what would I have to do?
Maybe.
Because I mean, the Barrens is what, 500 yards from his house. Well, I guess he didn't live in that house. But, 500. Oh, wait, he didn't live in Bangor as a kid, did he?
I'm not sure.
He lived in Lowell and somewhere else that makes Wayne look like a bustling.
Metropolis. Oh, I didn't hear what you said.
Where he grew up, I think it was Lowell.
Oh.
So a lot that makes Wayne, Maine, look like a big bustling city compared to Lowell.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Was that like population 5?
Yeah, there's like population, whoever walks in the store.
Yeah. Oh wow, there's a person here.
Yeah. Like, hey, what's your name? We're taking a second. So Ben had what did he have? 2 PB&Js, 1 bologna, an egg, 2 fig bars, 3 chip cookies, and a ring ding. I gained 5 pounds just reading that. Yeah, and I don't know. I tend to think that just because you're that big doesn't mean you eat that much all the time. But maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
I didn't really learn about calories until the last year, obviously.
Yeah.
I never felt like I ate that much, but it's not a matter solely of quantity. It's quality. It's what you're eating and how much it is. So it's not necessarily that heavy people all eat a ton of food. They just eat the wrong food, I guess.
Or don't get enough.
I think he has no clue what it's like to be a fat person. I guess that's something. I definitely highlighted his lunch, and further down it says, Ben somebody's gonna have to buy jeans because of Henry Bowers, and the thought of wasting his money on such a non-essential item casts gloom across his face.
Non-essential.
Man, I hated buying clothes till I was probably in my 20s. Did I tell you that story? I used to, at Christmas, all the clothes came in the same box. At least they used to.
Yeah, you told me that.
The classic rectangle box. So I would put all the rectangle boxes in their own pile and all the other shaped boxes in one, and open all the rectangles first, so I could get the clothes out of the way. Because I had to show them up to my parents, or my dad, my grandmother at some point, and say, ooh, and they were all like, hey, that's awesome. I'm like, great, next. It was more a gift for them than it was for me. And then my uncle got smart and he started putting all the toys in the clothes boxes. So that messed me all up. So I had to stop separating my piles because it wasn't working anymore. So I cracked up when they were like, the thought of wasting money on such a non-essential item, as a pair of pants. Like, yeah, at least I wasn't the only one that felt that way. But yeah, boy thing. So Richie and Stan show up. I like how he felt. Ben's like giving orders to 5 people now, and he's all uncomfortable with that, and he felt like Mickey Mouse. We knew enough to get the broom started, but not enough to make them stop. Have you guys seen Fantasia, Sorcerer's Apprentice? That's one of my favorites. I love that scene. Especially with the music. It's like have to watch that. Remember, me and your mom used to get unsober and watch Fantasia all the time. This is the nicest way to put that.
Well, never mind. Like Beatles unsober?
Little pieces of paper about little square ones.
Yeah.
Okay. So then they start scavenging for dam pieces to get a car door. I wonder if that's the car that you remember the flood and the person's hands
Oh yeah.
were still attached to the steering wheel. I wonder if that's the same car. I just love that image of like two bony, disembodied hands floating down there and like still attached to the steering wheel. I think there's a lot of good imagery in this. And there, these microphones work really well. You can hear every like piece of paper I move.
I know. I keep shuffling around too, so sorry.
It's whatever. We're not professionals. We don't get paid.
Sure.
Maybe one day. Maybe. Hey, I like to give a shout out to John Egan. He's our number one fan right now, or our number two fan. We don't have a number one fan.
Yeah, thank you. That was I forwarded Allie the last comment.
Oh, I did too. I asked her for an email. I guess she got doubled up.
Yeah. Yeah, yours got sent to my spam folder for some reason, so I just saw it like.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, see, you spammed me. I see how it is.
I did.
Technically, you spammed her.
Well, I mean, unintentionally, I guess. Put me in the spam category. I need to be whitelisted. Richie got C's and D's in deportment. I don't really know what that means.
I looked it up.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, crap. I wrote it down to look it up. I forgot to look it up. That's on my list of words.
I got halfway there. Yeah, there's many Stephen Kingisms. I found a blue chambray work shirt. Somebody's wearing a parka.
Oh no, I did look it up. It's a person's behavior or manners.
So it doesn't mean they send them back to Mexico or anything.
Are we? Oh yeah, he's talking. Yeah, right. This is Eddie talking about Richie, you mean?
Yeah, he knew that Richie got A's and B's in his schoolwork,
Yeah,
but also knew that Richie regularly got C's and D's in deportment. What? So he won't be an immigration officer? Like, what is that? I guess I'm taking deport. I didn't realize there was another meaning to deportment.
Well, I don't think that's a word in the way that you're using it. Like to be deported?
Yeah.
What would deportment? The act of deporting someone?
I mean, that's the way I took it. Apparently, I'm wrong.
That's a word,
obviously, that's not the way he meant it. But when I read it, I was like, "What? Deportment? I didn't know you could take classes in deportment in 6th grade."
It
feels more like a college class.
I don't know if there are classes for that. That's Homeland Security.
It's probably I don't know. You could. There's probably some criminal. You would know. You're a criminal justice person, right?
Well, yeah, I just said I don't think you take classes for that. It would be like
there's no like border security
political
101
science or
how to deport somebody.
They might have their own training once you get inside.
Yeah, it's called what's that Nat Geo show I watch? Border Wars. They're always like stopping people in the and searching their cars and finding coke in the wheel wells and stuff. Should we talk about Richie and some of his not so awesome voices?
Are we on Richie yet? Or because we just met him.
Yeah, because he's in Eddie's flashback. That shit gets confusing. Like, wait, the Richie, like what did Allie say? The someone's part was in. No, you said that. Ever.
Oh, that Stan's part is in Bev's flashback.
Right. There's a lot of that. It gets confusing, and you have to remember all the parts where their kids are them remembering as a. Oops.
Yeah.
Them remembering as adults. So everything starts as like a single level of inception, and then it gets crazier from there. Did you guys read the link I sent you about where you got the idea from?
Yeah, I forgot to respond.
I thought didn't actually realize that it really was like the bridge and the sewer. It was like, what if the bridge, or what if the canal went down to the sewer? It's amazing what a simple idea led to this giant. I don't even know what to call it. Epic tome.
That seems accurate.
Yeah, I didn't actually know that it really did come from him thinking about the trolls under the bridge. And I guess when you really sit back and go, yeah, well, that's kind of what he started as. He grew out. I mean, I guess for Adrian Mellon and other people, it was he definitely started as the monster under the bridge. So anyway, Richie has some voices that.
Richie has voices that just sound like Richie.
Right. Apparently he gets better. He says that, and again, I'm doing the audiobook, but that guy doesn't sound like Richie. He sounds like the voices, so I guess he's better at it than Richie is. Because he keeps saying that. It's one of them things, like in the last book, Amber, or I can't remember what it was. Something we were reacting to, or Jake's reaction. We were like, no, I don't feel like that's right. That's just him making it that way because. I think that's some. I think my point was I got lost halfway through it because my glasses came on. So I get he's doing the character. I don't know. I feel like even in. Well, that's the thing you have to remember. I get confused whether it's 1985 or 1957. So his super racist voice is 1957. So I guess not that it's okay, but it was more in line with the times back then. I guess you would say. But it's almost like, why did you need to have that voice? I mean, you could have just not had that voice and it would have been okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if he looks back now and he like cringes, like, oh, why'd I do that?
If I had to guess, I think he does, and I think that really speaks to how, I guess, unfortunately normalized it probably was, because someone like Stephen King didn't even think twice about it.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other voices are possibly offensive. I mean, I'm Irish, and I didn't care one bit about the Irish.
I don't think it's offensive.
Yeah.
I was trying to imitate the accent.
I was doing a little bit. Jesus Christ, I'm a jumped up crotch shit. Yeah. I'm not good at Irish of all accents. I can do other ones, but the Irish one gets me. Sean can do it. I can't do it very well. I guess I should practice that. I like Mr. Nell's awesome. And you can tell it's 1957 because he carries a fucking flask of whiskey around with him. The nectar of the gods, I think he called it. But yeah, he's the one that's like, there's piss and shit that you're playing in. You might not want to do that. No, yeah, but we like it. Like, ew. Wouldn't there be, I don't know, not some kind of odor associated with that? I would think.
I don't know.
But the gray water. What does he say? They didn't back up the shit, but they back up the gray water, which is like washing machine and pee and something else.
And like sinks and
So the dam definitely had to go, but they were awesome at it. And Bill spends okay, and I think this is a Stephen King thing. People shriek with laughter very easily and quite often.
Yeah.
I think they did it at least 10 times just in this part. Ben goes from
noticed it more in Beverly's part, but yeah, it's all throughout the kids section. It's just like, and they all just busted out laughing, and it was like, really? Now?
I guess part of that is being a kid, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overanalyzing. I'm like, I'm looking at that part, but I'm not 12 anymore either. But yeah, people shriek. They wear blue chambray work shirts, and they like recoilless hammers. I had no idea what a blue chambray work shirt or a loon was, but now I know what both are. I love the fact that we can go see a loon on the lake. And like, all I need is a raft. So yeah, I think Did I do Mr. Nell yet?
Yeah, you just did.
We switched. Well, we just switched to.
I want to get past the
House
damn.
of
I hate the
Evil.
damn.
What?
I just want to get past the damn. I hate this section.
You hate this section.
It's so boring.
Yeah, it does get a little repetitive.
Like I said, it does seem to take forever to actually get that part over with. This all happened in a matter of, I don't know, a couple hours. Well, it's a couple different days, I guess. Yeah, because they did go back and then like redo it. So this isn't the initial dam building. So it was two different. We can get past the dam. I'm fine. But I keep going back to it every time I get past, because we're starting to talk about.
I don't keep going back to it.
Well, I mean, in the book, I'm just kind of page turning, so I keep ending up back at the dam. Cool. So Eddie wrote no italics. Eddie is remembering while asking. I hate when I can't. Oh, a kid. Eddie's remembering while a kid. Oh, so that part didn't have italics. So that meant Eddie. Oh, I was keeping myself straight. I'm like, okay, so Eddie's remembering what he did as a kid, and then he's remembering as a kid a different thing he's remembering. So no italics mean his memory is coming from his 12-year-old self, not his 37-year-old self. So yeah, I had to take notes to remember who was remembering what, even though they're all the same person. Yeah, I want to get past the dam. I don't know where I have to go to get past the dam.
Well, it's basically on
Richie's section.
Well, we still haven't talked about Eddie and the leper.
Oh, true. Yeah, Eddie's section is when they start talking about the experiences that they've had.
They start sharing. It didn't even dawn on me that they've all had these different experiences, and they all probably thought they were going insane and didn't know they're all going through the same thing.
And they're all like super awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say maybe Beverly's was the tamest of all of them, and even that wasn't, great. But there was no direct threat to her life like the other ones had.
supernatural threat? Because Ben,
supernaturally, like Bill and Richie were gonna die several times. Ben, I didn't really feel a threat.
He got threatened by Bowers. That was different.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he had Ben had the mummy. Right?
Yeah, but it didn't.
It was more of a distant threat as an in-your-face threat.
Yeah.
That was more of like I'm gonna stop you where you stand until I slowly make my way to you. So if you have time to run away, do it.
Yeah.
And I think belief. I was thinking about that. That whole Nebo Street and Eddie Corcoran, I think, and something else. Yeah, the common, I guess, belief you would say, if you don't turn around, you don't acknowledge his existence, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And he keeps disproving that in this book, because we did it on this podcast or a different one, but like we've talked about how reaching into the switch and walking slowly up the dark basement stairs, or not turning around when you're walking home alone at night, possibly through the woods, all the little things that you don't do to prove to yourself that there's nothing there and you're okay and it's just your imagination running wild. Like in this book, they're all doing those things except it's not working.
Right. Well, it does work
to an extent.
Yeah, it does work for some of them because they're still alive. Like, it just depends on, I think, how much you believe you're going to survive, and like, how much you show you're not afraid.
I think it ties into that. It depends on how much they believe it's still there.
Right, exactly. And like when they do look and turn around, a lot of times it's way later. Like once they're finally back at their house, or once they're finally down the street, like. But that whole scene with
Eddie Corcoran and Richie were not that way.
Yeah, I was gonna say Richie and Bill, like they keep thinking like they're fine in that scene, and then it's like, oh, now here comes the hand. Oh, now here comes for it. I'm like, why do you keep thinking you're okay? Go, run, leave.
Yeah, the thing slapped him in the face. My God.
Yeah.
And another point, and after that, he turns around and it's like right there staring at him. You're like, oh, Bill, go faster.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine? Like that whole Nebold Street. Like, oh yeah, that's why I bought that keychain, because that scene was awful. And they go back, don't they? Don't they go back to Nebold to
Well, they
get
go
to the
back
sewers or something?
because of Eddie's story.
Yeah, Bill and Richie go because of Eddie.
No, I mean later, it might
be
they
the
have
time still be there.
Yeah.
later when they confront it. I gotta say, I loved everything about Nebold Street. It was so horrifying.
Yeah, the scenes are just so vivid. Like I can feel like their hearts beating in my chest.
Yeah, I lived it. Like I didn't read it, I lived it.
Right.
He has that ability, like no one else would. Like I just suspend disbelief, and the outside world goes away, and I'm just like I feel like I'm the character in the book. No one else does that to me the way he does, and I can't even pinpoint what it is about it. I guess it's just his style. Like
Definitely partly his descriptiveness, like the way he can, and his ability to. It's almost poetic how he can describe things you're thinking when you didn't even realize you were thinking them.
Yeah,
like Ben, who didn't want to waste money on jeans. Like, oh my god, that was me. And I wasn't much older than Ben, like I said, when I read this. So at the time, I'm still highlighting it 30 years later.
I even wrote something down from that part because I said the way he thought Ben Hanscom, blah blah blah. Oh, we were talking about nicknames. The way he thought Ben Hanscom got to like Richie calling him Haystack. It was something like a secret name, a secret identity, a way to be people that had nothing to do with their parents' fears, hopes, constant demands. I'm like, wow, that's a fantastic way to describe a nickname. I've never thought about it like that. Like you give yourself a name.
But I get it.
Well, okay, yeah, Haystack, okay, but like just that description.
It wasn't necessarily an insult because Haystack's Calhoun wasn't.
That wasn't the point of what I was saying.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to. I'm just thinking of the name. He was a wrestler, but he wasn't like an in-shape wrestler. But he wore overalls, I believe, if I have it.
Well, there was one point where someone, I think maybe it's Bev, when they get in the fight, and they were like, for a moment, he actually looked like the wrestler, like, but it seemed like not an insult. It was a good thing because like he was holding the chair over his head. So he looked powerful.
He's just like a big guy. He's not necessarily a big fat guy,
Right.
So, not necessarily an insult, but it feels derogatory coming from Ricky. I'm not sure I'm buying Eddie, of all people, climbing under this house into this nasty den where the hobos live and there's trash and germs everywhere. I think Eddie would have took one look at that and said, not me, and like walked the other way. But
yeah,
throughout this book, they're all very investigative for some reason.
He does say he felt pushed. Like there's definitely, like in the same way that maybe there's some calling of good, I think there's definitely a calling of bad. Like I think it's part of the reason why some of them also keep going back to these places. So I'm like, what are you doing? Like I said, why did Mike go to the scene of Eddie Corcoran's death? Like what the hell drew him there?
Well, yeah, that was supposedly random, but we all know what that means.
Right. So I think it's kind of along those lines. Like you almost don't have a choice.
Yeah. The times that they say that they're like pushed or drawn to or had a dream about this thing and that they had to go and see for themselves what was happening. Like there's definitely some other influence at work, and whether it be Pennywise or whether it be the turtle, we don't actually know, but I mean,
yeah, is there a part where Richie or someone says, why the hell did you do that? And Bill's like, it was the clown or something like that. Like he had no choice. It was a clown. He had to do it because of the clown. I don't know if that meant the clown was making him do it or he had to do it because of the clown.
Yeah.
From Melissa's heart.
Yeah, I feel like Richie's section is definitely where, because like to this point, yes, you kind of know what's going on, especially if you've already seen the other media of this book, even if you haven't read it. But you definitely get more of the connecting pieces of like, hey, this is all intertwined, and you're all being drawn together for a reason.
Right.
Yeah, and at this point, they definitely, and even in Mike's part, he says something about, I think it's when his dad's telling the story, like, did his dad, like, were the strings being pulled even back then, and with his dad in Derry, so Mike could be here now, something like that.
Right.
Like, how far back does, the web go? Was it happening even back then?
Yeah.
I'd have to say it probably was, because the turtle's been around as long as the spider, right?
Seems very random though because I mean that he would have been around then too.
You
like
can
in
make
1930.
Yeah.
So it's like, what, this group of 7 kids in the 1958 is the only one that can defeat him?
Maybe they're the only ones that talked about it because they all shared their. You guys laugh. I'll never hang with you. That's how he talks in the thing. He's like, you can feel him struggle. Yeah, it's like Bill shares, but then he's very worried about their opinion. You guys telling, and then I think they both. Yeah, he's crying over Georgie, and he's like, "Don't! If you tell me when he cried, I'll kill you or something." And Richard's like, "Dude, your brother just died. Nobody cares if he cried." Like, some of his, and it's like echoes of Stand By Me, where they're all very worried about looking like, what was it? Don't be a pussy, I think, in that book.
Oh, there's a lot of that, especially even with Bev, and I'm sure it's being, well, one, Stephen King doesn't know how a girl thinks, and two, being the only girl in a group of boys, like, it's a lot of like, oh, I can't show them I'm crying, or they'll think I'm like every other girl. Like,
yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but yeah, like the boy parts are very relatable. The girl parts, sometimes I'm like, I think he's guessing. Like, and I don't think he asked his wife. Well, he probably did. But you can almost tell. Yeah, I mean, that being said, his first book was about a girl, so.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really gotten too much of Bev anyway, so that's
what I was thinking. Like, Bev was almost becoming Susanna before they actually did something from her perspective. 400 pages in.
One question I have real quick about Eddie was, do you think the first encounter with the hobo, do you think that was just like a real like leper, or do you think that was also Pennywise like starting his game?
I wrote down a question that pretty much asked that. Is the original hobo have anything to do with Pennywise, or is that just a hobo?
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like that's just a hobo, because it mentions in like several of the parts that there is this transient community within Derry, and I mean, there are these horrible things in the world in general. So the fact that, I don't know, it could go either way, but I feel like for the most part, that's probably an actual situation that he just happened to be in, but it shaped what Pennywise became for him. Right, because anytime Pennywise shows up, there's always some sort of connection to the orange pom-pom.
Yeah, he kind of becomes whatever scares them the most.
Exactly. Yeah. I would be.
But I mean, do hobos generally go around offering to suck little kids' dicks for 10 cents or whatever?
He may not have been sober.
Probably not.
Still.
Meaning, like,
if he was just out of his mind.
Yeah.
If he was out of his mind with like fever or disease or something, and that impacted his thoughts too.
Yeah, he did say he probably had syphilis.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a brain-eating disease. So yeah, maybe it makes sense in it. I don't know a lot of hobos, so next time I see one, I'll get to it. Well, I guess I was a hobo for a while. All you have to do is be homeless, right? And addicted to something. By the way, Pennywise again, 316 for me. I don't know what page it is for you guys, but introduces himself as Bob Gray.
Bob Gray, yeah.
Mr. Gray. Are you starting to pick up on that now?
Yeah.
So that
who is, because I've read a decent amount of King's works, but not enough to know all the lore and backstories and stuff. So who is Bob Gray in his universe?
Why you
Dreamcatcher.
do that? I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Sorry.
Damn, you really hate that book, don't you? Bob Gray. Have you read Dreamcatcher?
No.
There's a guy. Mr. Gray is like the ultimate bad guy. In order to explain what I think about, I think him and Pennywise come from the same place originally. But Pennywise keeps calling himself Bob Gray, so now I'm wondering if they're the same person. So if they are, then that means Pennywise is also the bad guy in Dreamcatcher. So it's kind of a well, no unintended gray area there. Or maybe there is a pun intended. I kind of like that one.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
either
because I think he connects his works a lot. So
I actually want to see what Amber thinks about that. Like, do you remember we were talking about fully? Do you remember Toadash? We were talking about that last time.
Yeah, from Desperation.
Yeah, how he's a Toadash monster. I think him and Pennywise and Mr. Gray all come from that same in-between world, demon-infested place.
Okay.
But the fact that he keeps calling himself Bob Gray kind of means that Pennywise is also the
Okay, I'm back.
I won't give anything away. The bad guy in that book, which makes it, and he wrote that book almost 20 years after it. So it's like, was he thinking that then, or did he go back and like go through it and just pick the name out and do it that way?
Maybe. I mean, like, a lot of people have called it his kind of master thesis or magnum opus of horror. So if he's want to add in all these connecting ties, I could see this book as being one of those starting places for him of like, oh, okay, so if all this, if this master evil comes from Derry, what is branching out from Derry and how is it doing that?
Definitely a bad place. Amber, what do you think? Does that mean Pennywise is the bad guy in Dreamcatcher? It almost has to, right?
I think that would mean that Stephen King plans ahead, which we all know he does not.
No, I don't think he did. I think he, like I just said, I think he went back and remembered the name and plucked it for the book.
I don't remember Dreamcatcher well enough. I can't answer that honestly.
Remember Duddits is like, watch out for Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray is like the...
No, I remember, you told me. But I don't think it's that, I don't know. Maybe. Honestly, I don't like Dreamcatcher, so I don't really care much, to be honest.
You're in the tabby camp. I like most of Dreamcatcher. I didn't like the end. I didn't like the chase. I liked all the Jonesy stuff. I love that part where he's hiding the things in his head, and he's hiding in his head from the thing in his head, and he's having this whole back and forth. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. For me, Mr. Gray is really significant that he calls himself that.
I think he probably thought it was nothing at the time, or I don't know, who knows what he thought. And then, like you said, he went back.
Use the name again and then go, oh shit, I used that before, didn't I?
No, I don't think he did that. Well, he could have. Who knows? We should ask Robin.
He has fact checkers who got jobs because they kept writing him letters. They got this wrong, they got that wrong.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, who says that you shouldn't complain about everything they did wrong? Okay, and the fact that Eddie, when he's under the porch, is able to like run, or is it Ben? Wait, someone runs into the lattice work under the porch and busts through it. Now, how do you do that when the porch is maybe a foot tall, maybe 2 foot tall? How do you get that? You can't run at it. So I was like, how tall is under the porch at this place? Because it's got to be pretty decently sized to be able to run at something, right? And then
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was on an incline. I don't know.
I guess we were thinking that.
To be honest, I didn't really. It doesn't matter.
Like burn under the porch. There's a lot of under the porch going on in his books. I wrote it down. How deep is under the porch? Eddie's standing. Michael Landon is the wolf man. That cracked me up. There's a little house on the prairie. I guess you guys know anything about him or that?
No.
It was a show in the 70s, and he's like the all-American good guy raising the family on the farm kind of thing. And see him as the wolf man. It's completely a different character. So, we'll move on. Oh, he calls it an aspirator. Aha. I knew I got that from something. I like how Ben says he wasn't all. I saw the clown, only he wasn't like you said when I saw him. He wasn't all gushy. He was dry. Like because in Eddie's version, he was a leper, which I guess is I didn't properly picture how maybe much his skin was falling off. So he was wet and I guess slippery when Eddie saw him. But he was dry, mummy. And this whole thing with one thing about the dam and the barrens, when the cop shows up and they're like, we like it here. Basically, they don't have to worry about anyone else and the outside world, and they can just be themselves. Like I thought that was completely relatable because we had spots like that as well, where we just went when we didn't want to deal with anything else outside of that little. We had a little track we built in the woods that we used to hang out and we wanted to get away from people. So I thought that made a lot of sense, even though they're playing in shit water and whatever. It also was very relatable how it was their place to get away from the world.
Yeah, and they frequently refer to it from then on as their place too. Like that's our place.
You don't they build like an underground fort? It's later on.
I don't know.
They hide from Henry or something. I have a vague memory of it. Then we go. All right, so Georgie's room. So what I learned was my memory was from the movie again, because in Georgie's room, Pennywise came kind of running at the picture, didn't he? And then he like jumped on the flagpole.
Yeah, something like that.
And he was yelling at them, and he was like, "You're gonna die! You're all gonna die!" The Tim Curry voice.
Yeah.
Oh, I vaguely remember that.
They but in the so the book was a little bit different. I like the way it just kind of starts
slowly.
I guess slowly the cars start moving. The guy's jacket flap actually finishes its what does he say? Finishes its flap after 30 years of waiting or something.
Yeah.
And then they're in the picture, so that was different. Like, oh, that's much more terrifying. And then that, and when Richie sees the werewolf, it's his name. The jacket says his name on it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know exactly what that means, but that's just.
It's like a psychological terror.
Yeah.
Like you will be attacked by the werewolf and also be the werewolf.
Yeah, and that werewolf wasn't playing, man. It was like, and remember I said, if Henry would have caught Ben, he would have killed him. Ben actually says that somewhere in this part. Like, it may have started out as beating his ass, but he's like, if he'd have caught me, he'd have killed me.
For
like,
sure.
The werewolf's the same way. They would have died, and it's almost like, well, what did you expect, Stu?
That's what I'm saying. Why do you keep especially after the thing with the photo album. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah, so you know, like, there's no doubt now. You both saw that, so you know. Although I think Richie tries to deny it to a point.
Yeah,
At
he
least.
keeps saying like, "Oh, it's a hallucination. It didn't happen."
Yeah, I don't know what I saw. But I mean, at that point, it's like, okay, something's happening.
For them to both see it together too, I think this is the first time where something's happened with two or more.
Yeah, and did you ever notice how everything intersects Witcham Road, no matter what road it is?
Even the black spot. Something about the end of Witcham where I was like, goes all the way out there?
Oh, and he also says the black spot is Memorial Park. So we know where the black spot is.
Yeah.
And I was having trouble picturing the black, like, I don't know. I can picture Memorial Park, obviously, because I've seen it, but I'm trying to picture like a shanty, what is it, a tin woodshed on fire in the middle. I was having trouble with that.
Well, it's a completely different landscape.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so Witcham Road, what in front of Jamie's house? Is that Witcham Road?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Because remember that they were, or Stu's, well, no, Jamie was next to Stu. Right? So, like, if the black spot ends at Witcham Road, or Witcham Road ends at the black spot, or it goes to the black spot, then that had to be one of them. He's probably. So I think I'm overthinking.
Yeah.
Although Mike and Henry are neighbors, that's got to be awkward. And there's history there. His dad had, old Butch Bowers is crazy as shithouse rat, as they say. Mike's dad had to stick a gun to his face. I like how Henry's dad is mad. Not that he did that, but that, like, a black guy did that. That he lives in a world where that's now going to happen.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What do you guys think about the werewolf?
Oh, wait.
We're at Newbold Street.
Did we get there yet?
Oh, I'm there. Yeah.
We skipped over the whole confrontation with Bowers.
We're doing the house at Newbold Street. I'm in that chapter, and he's talking about fucking Mr. Nell again. So it keeps going back to the dam.
Who's talking about Mr. Nell?
Because what?
I said, who's talking about Mr. Nell?
On this page, Richie is. And they're still doing the dam narrative. So I moved on to, I guess, part 8.
Well, no. So the werewolf happens right before Bev's section. So like I mean, it doesn't really matter. But they have a whole thing where they go to the movies and they meet Vic Bowers again and they run from them.
So, that was also different because I was remembering Richie dumping a soda on him, and that never happened.
That's the movie, yeah.
Yeah. And that whole fight was. Henry's not a very good fighter because so far he's been in 2 fights and he kind of gets his ass kicked both times. You would think a bully would be at least a little better at it.
Like that most people probably don't fight back.
Oh, I guess that's part of bullying. Yeah, intimidation is the key. That's what they say, right? Most bullies are, if you stand up to them, it doesn't always work. But like the alley, I guess it'd be called the alley fight, was mostly Victor Chris and Belch swinging at them. Henry was just kind of getting his ass put on the ground and then getting put on the ground again, and he never got up. Like these.
Yeah, the 3 of them all were fighting Ben and Beverly and Richie. Yeah.
That's when Ben just was like, Ben rage, Ben Hulk smash.
Yeah, I just read this. Until this moment, Ben had been terrified. Now something in him snapped. He let out a roar and grabbed one of the garbage cans.
It's that protection in Beverly. That's what happened. Yeah. Beverly was being threatened. It was okay to threaten Ben. He could be terrified, but now you're threatening Beverly. Nobody threatens Beverly. Because he's both in love with her and terrified to be near her at the same time. The whole, like, Richie could tell something was wrong with him in the movie theater, but it wasn't what he thought it was. He was, what did he say? So close to her proximity, he couldn't take it or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, he said several times on that verse was like dual nature life, where it's both the most exciting thing that could ever happen and the most terrifying thing that could ever happen. I think at one point he kisses him on the cheek and he goes home and replays that in his mind like the rest of the night or something.
Oh, and it's after the fight. Sorry, I'm looking through it now. Where they get, I don't remember if Bowers called. Oh yeah, no, Bowers calls them the Losers Club, and then he says the Losers Club gets off a good one.
Oh, you know what? I must have skimmed through that because I saw Richie. I thought Richie was the first mention of it, so it was actually Bowers.
I thought it was.
I thought it was Richie saying get off a good one was saying like, hey, we did something funny, or hey, we did something good.
Funny. And Richie speak, gets off a good one was Chuckalicious.
Yeah.
Did you see?
Maybe it was Richie.
The Losers Club gets off a good one. Richie yelled exuberantly.
Waka, waka, waka. For some reason, I had it that he had called them that before as an insult, and then they took over. But I don't see that, so never mind. Maybe it was Richie.
I mean, he might have.
Maybe it was earlier though, like in the Barrens when he was first chasing Henry or something.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm very the whole Richie being in Georgie's room and well, first of all, the whole Bible rant cracked me. Did you guys catch that? About how the Bible was the most fun thing to read because of all the death and destruction.
Yeah, that seems odd.
Yeah, I don't think Stephen King's the biggest fan. In fact, I think not a fan at all. But that was kind of cracking me up. And so my point was, the whole Richie going into Georgie's room and the finality of death kind of smacking into him. He didn't really get it until that point. You know, there would be, Georgie would never learn to color in the lines. He would never do this. This was it. This was his story forever. There would never be any more report cards or whatever they call it. I forget what it's called. That to me was very relatable because my grandmother died. I went through a lot of the finality of it. Your story's done. There's nothing else to add to it, and there never will be ever for eternity. That was something in my mind that I really, the finality of it. A lot like Richie did. Again, there's a lot of reasons I like Stephen King. That's one. Really, that's great. Some stuff like that. So, was that too deep? Damn, I feel like I shut everybody up.
No, I just don't.
I mean, it is deep, but it's also supposed to be a deep part of it, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's a happy story.
Like I said, it's no joke when I say that he got me through when I dove with Stephen King. Because of things like that. There were times between him and Pink Floyd, I felt like they were talking about it. Those are my teenage years. So I don't know how. I thought I left Bill's group. It's going to be back in there. Yeah, Richie wants to go see the book. Yeah, what we got?
We are past that. We were after the fight.
Oh, by the way, I love Richie's dad, and that was one of those.
Yes,
that was one of
I
those
do too.
sections that I didn't really need. It was like 10 pages of him bickering with his parents, but yeah, first of all, the name, Wentworth Tozier, just sounds like a dentist. If I had a dentist, that would be his name. Actually, I do have his, and that's not his name. That would be cool. He's like, what does he say? When your parents have you by the balls, what can you do, or something? Like, well, he's got a point though. I guess he's teaching him a lesson. Like, well, I give you your allowance. Clearly, I must have forgotten if you spend it, if you don't have it.
Yeah, Ellie had mentioned that to me yesterday. She was like, his dad. I forgot how funny his dad is.
Yeah.
Oh, and wait, oh yeah. So after gotta catch up and get to the fight. After the fight is what, Beverly's part, right?
Uh-huh.
Pretty
the
much,
werewolf.
So I was mildly surprised to see Beverly's mom show up.
I wrote that down too. I was like, so
Yeah.
her mom is there. Okay, now we know.
And she's got a weird name, Frida or some shit. I forget.
Yeah.
But I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so two things. I guess we're on Beverly.
Well, okay. It doesn't matter. Like,
Go
you
ahead.
skipped over the werewolf now, but...
Well, we kind of talked about it before, though.
Yeah, the werewolf's kind of there. I don't know that I need to face the werewolf directly, other than
Yeah.
it really tried to eat them. I'm pretty sure.
It was scary, and they shouldn't have
Yep.
done that.
Yeah, how bad? I forgot how bad it actually was. Like
Oh,
these scenes.
but
I guess I was relating more to the movie because I haven't actually read the book in so long. In the book, they're much more edge of your seat, horrifying than they are in the movie. It's almost
especially if you're thinking of the Tim Curry movie that I just watched, the effects in that are awful. So,
well, like everything Ben went through to get rid of Henry, it just kept going, you know. And he's like, "Well, does they ever end?" Everything they went through to get rid of Werewolf, it just kept coming. Like they get out of the house, and he's like, "Surely, we're outside now. I gotta be safe." And the things are right under. They can hear his loafers of all things slapping the pavement. So there's a loafer wearing werewolf running down the middle of the street in a Derry High School jacket named Richie Tozer, smacking the back fender of the bike. Like, Jesus Christ, just get away already.
One thing that I took away, that we should take away from this section, though, is another instance of, if you believe it, it will work, because he uses the sneezing powder on him. And it's like, maybe it really does work on these, whatever, intergalactic beings, but, like, sneezing powder shouldn't be something that would stop Pennywise in his tracks.
I cracked up. I thought that shit was funny.
Yeah.
I was reading
Like,
it.
they're killing it with a gun, trying to, and that's not working, but sneezing powder does? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
And Bill shot him 3 times. But I can just see him, like, blowing it in his face and, like, just stop him for a second. What the fuck? And then start sneezing. I can just picture
Yeah.
Yeah.
the absurdity of it. And it, you know, I could see it working. It was so absurd. Why wouldn't it sneeze? Because Richie believed it would.
Exactly.
So I guess, yeah, the scenes are just so much more intense in the book, I guess. But I let myself forget that.
Oh, for sure. Like, this is not a hard book to read at all, because each scene is, you're just like, you can't put it down.
Yeah.
There's a reason it's one of the top 2, I guess. I don't know if I can go top 2. I can go It, The Stand, and the Dark Tower series. That's how I have it. Not in no particular order for anything.
Yeah.
So Beverly's dad is much worse in the book, and Beverly has a mom in the book. So there's no. First of all, I always thought it was kind of vague. I remembered it like it was vague whether he was actually hitting her or not. I remembered it as one of the things that was implied but never directly stated. So that's out the window because he's showing up with bruises.
I never thought it was vague about bruising. I thought what wasn't clear was if he was sexually abusing her or not.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
always what I thought was big too. Because there was always that like leer, but never the actual act of, which hopefully that's, you know, something that Stephen King wouldn't even touch, despite all the horrors that he writes about. But I haven't read enough of his work to know if that's something that he actually covers in any of his books, but it's just so horrific to think about.
I don't think there's any topic that he would necessarily stay away from.
Yeah.
I mean, he pulled Rage off the shelves after.
Well, okay, that's true.
I think.
But I can't really think of a scenario now that you mention it.
There's a character in Billy Summers that is that kind of person, and not the protagonist, obviously.
Right.
He's kind of like, if I had to draw a real world comparison, I would say he's like the head of Fox News, who's also into little girls, and he gets what's coming to him, kind of thing.
Okay.
So he's like a giant media mogul, and I'm reading it, and I'm laughing, which sounds horrible to say, but it's about his politics, that book, kind of, because he's taking someone that I know he hates in real life and turning him into a character in a book and kind of making him a child molester and then dealing with him. So it was almost like him living out his fantasy of what he would do to the real life person.
Yeah.
So other than that, I don't know that he confronts it directly, and it's a little uncomfortable in that, because there's a whole scene where he's setting the guy up and pretending to be a client to get this guy people that he can do that to. So they're faking that they're one of those people. So the whole setup is uncomfortable to read, no doubt.
Right.
But then what happens still makes it okay in the end, I guess. But I can't think of an instance other than that if he's confronted it. I don't think.
After reading this section, the impression that I got was that there has not been sexual abuse, but like the line is very shaky.
It may be coming.
Right.
Yeah, maybe that's more to say. Maybe there was definitely the physical abuse, and in the 50s, hell, you owned your kid. You could do what you wanted, right? And you probably wasn't the only one getting beat, I guess is what I'm trying to say. At least I hope. Not that
unfortunately, even today, there's kids that.
Yeah. Well, and I also got the sense with her dad that, like, in the movies, I thought he drank, and that's why he was kind of extra cruel to her. But in the book, they say he has no vices, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he should live forever type of thing. And I get the impression that they were saying if he did do any of those things, it would be so much worse. So it's a good thing that he didn't.
It almost seems like he should be someone to drink because he fucking beats her. It's like normal people are supposed to do that.
Right.
I was surprised by that
too. The movie.
What do you mean he doesn't drink? Jesus. Like, and he's almost like a parallel to Frank Dunning.
I was thinking that too.
From 11/22/63. Frank Dunning is him, but he drinks. Like the violence never stays the same; it escalates.
We don't learn a lot about Bev's dad, but Frank Dunning was also like charming on the outside to a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't get the impression he was very charming.
Yeah, he seems very dry.
He just worries a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Punches.
There's a sadistic protectiveness that I can't stand. Like,
yeah, he's so good at that too. And yeah, but there's a part where when he's telling her he was. Like, whoa.
In the book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not happening if I feel like
woman.
No, I'm actually on that page. It's I worry about you, Almar said. I don't think you're ever going to grow up, Beverly. You go running out, you don't do hardly any of the housework around here. You can't cook, you can't sew. Half the time you're off on a cloud someplace with your nose stuck in a book, and the other half you've got vapors and some word I don't know, Migrams? I don't know what that is. But yeah, his hand swung and spatted painfully against her buttocks. And then, like, he hits her in the arm and hits her in the stomach.
Yeah, is that just where it landed, or is there a sexual thing there?
Oh, I think it was like supposed to. I took it as a spank, like abusive. You know what I mean? Like a belt over the butt kind of thing.
I guess you'd say physical abuse, not sexual abuse.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I first read it, I was like, "Oh, hold on." So I was like, "That changes everything." And then I was like, "Well, it's kind of gray." I'm not sure.
From what I remember about the remake, at least of the movie, it definitely seemed more sexual. Like, he was worried about her growing up and outgrowing him and leaving him and going and being with other men. Versus in the book, he's like, I'm concerned that you're not turning into a woman who would do well for her husband.
Right.
Not in a sexual manner, but in a manners manner.
I think
you're gonna make me look bad. Heaven forbid.
Yeah.
Right. You're worried about the you have to go to different churches and shit when you start doing stuff in a small town. I think the book and the movie, the kitchen or the bathroom sink is pretty close.
Yeah, it's almost dead on because I just watched that movie and I'm picturing it as I'm reading it. I'm like, this is scary.
Yeah, I'm totally picturing both movies actually as I'm reading it. There's no way not to. I didn't realize they left it there for like days or the next day till cleaned it.
There was a part of me that's like, you know what, like maybe you could put it out of your mind, but the fact that it smells like blood too is like, oh.
Oh, that's where I learned the word coppery blood smell. All his blood smells coppery in every book.
It does in real life too, though, so it makes sense.
Oh yeah, maybe blood smells like pennies.
Oh, don't say that.
And then, and again, it's like the worst fears are always realized. So she's like staring at the closed bathroom door for like a day and a half, unable to go in, and then she goes in, and oh yeah, guess what? It happens again.
Well, she even says that. She was like, I was afraid, but I wasn't surprised because this is what I expected.
Right. Like, it's like the house, Nebo Street. What the fuck did you expect to happen? I
think Bev's is one of the, honestly, you said hers is the tamest, but I think hers is one of the worst because it's in her house. Like, it's her bathroom. What is she supposed to do?
That's a good point. It's in your safe. He's invading her safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't know that she feels necessarily safe in that space to begin with. But
true.
Until her dad leaves. Remember, every time he turns the corner, she has like a weight lifts off her chest. And she feels a huge sense of relief.
It's horrible that, and I know this is how, I'm sure I've heard this is how a lot of abused children feel, but that, like, she, even through the abuse, she's still her father, she still loves him, and even though she does secretly kind of, like, she has that moment where she wishes something would come out of the drain and kill him, she's like, oh, I feel horrible that I even thought that. And it's like, no, girl, that's reasonable.
Yeah. There's I guess a line she's walking because it's the only father she'll ever have. But, it's weird when you realize that, people you, I guess, idolized as kids aren't the greatest people in the world. When you become an adult, you're like,
well, that is weird. What happened to Bev is horribly traumatic. Like, there's a difference.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not going to try to relate anything to what happened to her because I can't do that. It is, and she goes back in the bathroom and.
Why? I don't understand what she's trying to do in the first place with the tape measure. Like, see how far the drain goes, or to see if there's any I guess to see if there's any possibility that there could be a kid down there.
Yeah, because she heard Veronica Grogan and I think Matthew Clements too, right?
Yeah, she heard. Yeah. Oh, that was another thing that I was hearing directly from the movie, where it was like I heard a tiny kid's voice, like a kid who just started to talk, where it's like, "Hi, Beth," and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's exactly what it sounded like in the movie."
I don't remember that part in the movie that directly. I remember Pennywise. Tim Curry was in the drain in the first movie, right?
Well, it starts off as the kids, and then it switches to the voice, and they did a great job with that too, because I was picturing. It said it sounded old and like, what was the word? Something. Well, I guess I can look at it about like being clogged. Like the voice sounded ancient and something else. It was a great description.
Yeah.
But
I like how the 12-year-old boys learn about what sex is. That was cracking me up.
yeah.
Now the voice sounded choked and ancient, and it crawled with corrupted glee.
Yeah, there we go.
What an ancient? Corrupted?
Well, it sounded choked and ancient.
And still it crawled with corrupted glee.
That's awesome.
And that's how like
Corrupted
Tim Curry sounded, like you said from the dream. It was like, "You'll float down here with your friends, Beverly."
You float, Beverly.
Yeah. But I guess that role is it's like Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
By the way, before I forget, I think I have it highlighted. Did you see who, and do you know, did you recognize anybody at the Black Spot?
No.
Have you read The Shining? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who comes to save the day?
I can't remember his name. The
It's been a
caretaker.
while since I've read The Shining.
Well,
Dick
no.
Harlan. Is his name.
Oh, I thought the name seemed familiar, but I didn't. I was just like, whatever. One of those Stephen King things.
Yeah,
Sorry.
19-year-old Dick Halloran, where in The Shining he's like 80. But,
I knew that name sounded familiar. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, he's the one that he never saw, or he saw the next day. The one.
Dick was
that-
the one that told him, if you go that way, you're going to die. You better go this way.
Yeah, right.
And they like crawl out the burning window.
Oh, do you think he? I mean, do you?
No. I think Trevor was the one he never saw. Adam. Dick got through the window, and then he never saw him again, basically.
Did Dick know that because he was smart, or because he has the shine?
Maybe both.
I mean, yeah, he definitely has the now third most powerful shine known to man. Danny's second, and what's her name is first? The one in Doctor Sleep.
Yeah, I can't
Audrey
remember.
or something like that. The little black thing. Begins with an A. Ada or something.
Yeah, I can't remember.
So yeah, he's got a lot of shine. Is the lesson there, and maybe just intuition. If there's a bunch of people at a door that's not open, and that doesn't seem like a good idea.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I that's why I said. But it is an interesting connection.
It's funny that the fire was blowing the windows open, yet the door wouldn't open for anything. I feel like there may have been
Well, that's not funny. That's because there's hundreds of people pushing against it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Then
like it's a
I was
pole
like,
door and
well,
they're
that was
trying to push.
my first reaction was like, oh my god, why won't the door open? And then there's like, you have to push it or pull it to open. Like, oh, that's such a bad idea. So I can just picture like the people pushing against the door and the people on the outside who just had. I think he said they just stopped trying because they couldn't anymore. And the fact that it's made of tin means they were cooking.
Roasting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that imagery. I think it like, but I read this when I was 17. I think at the time I was like, oh, that's awesome. Now I'm like, oh, that's bad. I guess it affects me more emotionally now than it did then. I was all into it.
Oh, and that scene is
17, I was like,
nothing. I should say that scene is nothing supernatural either, and it makes me feel as bad as the other scenes. Like,
Well, that's the underlying theme I think throughout this. Well, especially the black spot part, that Derry is bad without Pennywise.
yeah,
Like I don't think he would succeed in a town that didn't have that underlying, what do they call it, decay and corruption and whatever.
rotting.
I mean, maybe he would. He's just a clown, an ancient clown that eats people. So I guess it would work anywhere. But it's definitely easier when you're, because he, seems to feed off the corruption and the rot that's in some of the people as well as the fear.
Yeah, I found it very interesting. I mean, I know that's at the very end, but that he would have eaten one of the people. What he took one of the like Legion members, right? The White Decency or whatever, Legion of White Decency.
Yeah.
The bird came and snatched it up and ate it. And I'm like, why? An adult? Like.
Yeah, I was surprised that it ate an adult. I gotta tell you, I was like, wait a minute. Does that mean the adult still believed in the childhood things or something?
Right? Did he have unfinished business from 27 years ago?
Is that the same bird? Because his dad named what kind of bird it was. I forget what he said, but he was like, it was this kind of bird, but except it was 40 feet big.
Yeah, it was.
Is that supposed to be the same? I guess I'm hoping it was not too.
Kestrel.
Yeah.
A what?
Kind of like a hawk.
Yeah, it doesn't really mean anything.
What they call a kestrel. Okay,
he did say hawk, I think. I think he said that, like a hawk.
He says a hawk may be what they call a kestrel. But it was big.
I don't think. Yeah, and we finally get to Stan. Like, geez, I feel like he kept pushing that back for 300 pages.
Which again, Stan doesn't even get his own part.
Well, I'm okay with that because fuck Stan.
I don't know. After reading that part, I feel a little less harsh about Stan.
I don't. He didn't go through anything they didn't go through. After reading some of that shit, I see what you're saying, and I'm my impression was, if some guy that I didn't remember called me about some shit that I said when I was 11 years old, I'd be like, yeah, dude, I can't. Maybe next year I can't really do that right now.
We've already talked about this, though. He doesn't have a choice.
I'm just saying, man. That was my impression.
You can't just say. That's the whole point. He didn't have a choice.
I guess I'm.
I mean, again, the point that you make about they've all gone through traumatic things and they all still came back, that's what would be the selling point for me. It's like, hey, man, it sucks for you. I'm sorry you had to be one of the 7, but you got to save the world now.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd kill myself. I'd just not show up. I just ghost him.
You can't not show. I bet you if he had tried to not go, he would have been killed. Something would have happened. Like, there's not a choice.
Why did anything stop him from killing himself then if he had to be there?
But that's not. I mean, you still have. I guess the only choice you have is whether or not you live or die.
I got you on that one, huh?
Like I said, the only choice you have is whether or not you live or die. If you choose not to fulfill, well, I don't know, because we haven't really gone into the pact that they made yet. So maybe there's something in that would have forced him.
Maybe.
But again, I don't get the impression there was any other option whatsoever.
The whole visual of the kids drowning in the standpipe where there's just nothing to grab onto and you just swim till you drown because you get tired of swimming.
Or the child getting pulled down by their jacket and drowning in 100 feet of water.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was like, oh my God, take the jacket off. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a baby. Maybe, possibly a 3-year-old, but still, that's not going to happen. Yeah, and then it's almost like, well, even if you take your jacket off, you're still fucked. Like, and he's like, they're screaming, they were hollering all night. Like, damn it, Stu, run over there and save him. the guy that does the tour literally is a stone's throw from the standpipe. In that thing.
Allie. I mean,
My son. Sorry.
Eddie dry swallowed his aspirin. Everybody in Stephen King books dry swallows. They're really good at that. I can't do that. I need a drink.
He must have been a dry swallower.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because he was a drunk for a while, so he was waking up taking aspirin every morning.
That's so painful to dry swallow.
I don't enjoy it. It involves me chewing the aspirin, and that's not a good feeling. Because they don't taste good. Yeah, the quote on the standpipe, I didn't look up that myth, but I tried to ask Google it. And about typing, and I was laying in bed, so I didn't get involved in all that. And he doesn't say what it means, asshole. He's like, look it up if you don't.
Yeah, that's, my opinion was like, well, can't be that important.
Yeah, and it was about birds, so I was like, I feel like Stan should have seen the bird. Like, I don't know why he did that.
What, for Mike?
Yeah, why did Mike, like, Mike could have seen the dead kids, and Stan could have seen the bird. Like, that would have worked better. Or maybe it was, I don't know, maybe it was too obvious to have the bird guy see the giant bird.
Well, Stan's not afraid of birds, though. Like, I mean, I'm not saying Mike necessarily was either. I don't really know. It would have
ruined Stan in a whole different level than it ruined Mike, because that's Stan's thing. And he would, I don't know that he'd been able to look at a bird again after that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Watching him, I like how he was watching them. The brains weren't big enough to talk, but they sure looked like they were talking. He was watching like the blue jay argue with the other ones and like shove them off, and then he was strutting around like it was his little spot. Like I was just like seeing that as he was talking about it, and I was cracking me up.
I'm picturing sitting on that bed, looking at the bird bath.
I'm sure he had a pair of binoculars, and he did exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly what Stan was doing. Yeah, we have that bird thing on our window, and I see the birds arguing and yapping at each other all the time. Like, they don't play nice together. They may not have brains to talk, but they're saying something. That's for sure.
I had to look up. I had an idea of what he was talking about, but I had to look up. How would you pronounce that? Calliope. I don't know if you pronounce the L's or not. Music.
Oh, I think it's Calliope music.
Calliope.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
You jumped to the creepy music part.
Yeah, it's actually I found out it's an instrument, but that it's like that carnival music you hear, like the
I used to sing this song. Yeah, I knew what that was. I knew the song, so I just sang the song. And I was like, oh, so that's Calliope music. I don't remember necessarily associating it with a carnival, but apparently.
No, if you hear not necessarily that song, like I looked up, heard there was a guy, so I was listening to it on YouTube while I was reading the scene, and I was like, literally felt like I was at a carnival. If you look up Calliope, what did you say? Calliope music.
Come on, wordsmith. Yeah, I just knew the song. So I like how he adds squishes. Get down, ladies, sing this song. Squish, doo-dah, squish, squish. Like, instead of another doo-dah, it's a squish, squish. Because the dead kids are walking towards him. And I wrote that, stands in the standpipe, and he's like, who's there? And they're like, the dead ones. Where's the dead ones? I wrote it down, like, oh, it sucks when you ask questions and you get an answer.
Yeah, why would you ask?
Maybe you should. Some things you don't want to know.
This scene was definitely also one of the most terrifying.
Yeah, and Stan, it says, okay, so Stan's story being told through Beverly, or 12-year-old Beverly's memories, who 37-year-old Beverly is remembering 12-year-old Beverly to Stan. Like, he keeps doing that inception shit.
Mm-hmm.
I keep having to write down like what's going on, and like I did again. I was like, all right, no italics. So Beverly's 12.
And it's while they're at the laundromat waiting for the rags to dry after they clean up the mess.
Right. she's remembering being at the laundromat while when she was at the laundromat, Stan was telling the story of
when he remembers being at the sandpit.
Right. Jeez. Jesus Christ on a jump foot clutch. Like that one I can do pretty good. I guess we kind of talked about we didn't. I guess we're near the end here, folks. Oh, by the way, Amber, this is, I think, Beverly's part still right before section 12. He says, there's a universe down there, a universe where a square moon rises in the sky and the stars laugh in cold voices. Some of the triangles have 4 sides and some have 5. Some of them have 5 raised to the 5th power sides. In this universe, there might grow roses which sing. Sounds to me like a tower reference, just saying.
Yeah, but I mean that would have had.
He was writing it then.
Was he writing about the rose?
I feel like the rose was a latecomer in the game.
I think so too.
I think that showed up in like book 5 when they started going back and forth to New York. Maybe book 4. Yeah, but hey, maybe he wasn't then, but that's what he turned it into.
No, I mean he definitely like the singing roses. I've never heard anywhere other than Dark Tower.
Right. Apparently, it's definitely the blood is black and spongy. I like that too.
There's another mention of the turtle in the second interlude too. Mike says, "Oh, this is before when he's thinking and knowing he has to call them, but when the time comes, they will hear the voice of the turtle. So I'll wait, and sooner or later, I'll know."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote at some point. After when he falls asleep in the library and he wakes up and there's a balloon with his face on it, bleeding or something.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, I guess you better make those phone calls because there's no doubt now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All question of is it back has been removed. It's back. We talked about the black spot. That's horrible. And the Legion of White Decency? Every time I read that name, I just want to punch the foot.
I know. I don't even think I read the whole thing. I just saw L and I was like, got it. The horrible people.
Right? Like Marilyn Manson, the horrible people. I know it's beautiful, but I like it.
Also, the bird that Mike's dad saw, it didn't hover, he said. It floated.
I like that. Because hovering was much louder. Like its wings were flapping if it was hovering. If it floated, it was just still.
I could have believed that the bird was floating on its own, but then when he said that there were big bunches of balloons tied to each wing and it floated, I'm like, okay, seriously? Like, I feel like you don't even have to have the balloons there.
It's like, it already has wings. Can't it just fly? Why does it need balloons?
Yeah, it was a little... the reality was starting to get a little absurd with that, but I guess you could say that all throughout.
Oh, for sure.
Like, Richie, I had no trouble believing in the monsters, but the 40-foot bird with the balloons tied to each wing, I was like,
That ate an adult, by the way.
Yeah, it's crossing a line when it starts eating adults, I feel like. No, you don't do that. Where's the turtle at? We gotta have a meeting.
Oh, well, I had no idea when we first started talking about this whole float thing that actually was such a theme, and used in so many ways. I'm almost impressed, I guess.
Yeah, it's tied completely to Georgie, I guess, in my memory and in pop culture, but it's no. And remember when we did the first part, we were like, oh, that was it. That's all. That's where this whole float thing came from. It's like, well, actually, no. It keeps
right. Everything floats. Everyone floats.
So yeah, we all float means more than I realized.
Yeah, it's been really cool to discover that.
Yeah, it's I'm pleasantly surprised by some of the stuff so far, especially the intensity of some of the scenes. It's like, oh my god, like I'm feeling what they're going through almost.
Real quick, what I was thinking, and I'm like, what I said earlier, I'm like, my least favorite part of this book so far has been the dam and the barons. And I'm like, that's the only part of this book where something terrifying hasn't happened. And I'm like, oh, okay, now that makes sense.
Maybe that's why you don't like it.
I'm like, that's probably why everything else in this book is so fast paced.
Oh, they're safe again. All right, what's next?
Right.
It's like, oh, they're leading a normal childhood. Boring.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Right.
Not in a Stephen King book.
I lived a normal childhood. I don't need them to. I think not much else there. It's interesting that Mike's parts are not italicized.
Well, he's writing them down.
Yeah, I get. Well, okay. So italics mean it's a memory, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I think, is because these are like written memoirs versus just memories.
Interesting that the jazz band was so successful. The white people started showing up, and that was, what does he say? That's when we stopped being careful. We were having a good time.
Yeah.
So what exactly, if you were being careful, would you have done differently? I don't know that you could have done anything differently. What were you going to do? Tell the white people not to show up? I don't think that would have worked very well.
Yeah, that's a good point, because it's not like they cared that they were drinking alcohol. It's that they were black and having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what offended the Legion of White Decency. That didn't fit into their world order. So yeah,
that's almost absurd. I'm sorry, real quick, that because I'm sure that that's where a lot of racism stems from, to think that people can compare those thoughts to the monsters in this book. Like the offense of just a person living is the same as the offense of Stan seeing dead children in the standpipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've said, he enhances the rot that's already festering in there. Yeah. There's a lot of rot. Although Dick calls Trevor a name.
It starts with a J?
That too. No, starts with an N. It's the N word.
Oh, okay.
Which sometimes I say and sometimes I'm not comfortable saying. Even though I'm just repeating what's in the book. Which kind of changed the dynamic of it to me. So if you're calling your friend that, then it's less offensive than that context. But I'm not going to. I had a different point and I forgot what it was. I wonder if Pennywise was holding that door closed. There's no mention of it, but someone. It wasn't just that there was so many people trying to get out, there was no way the door was ever open. I feel like.
I think it could easily be either. In my opinion, I don't think he needed to be involved in that. I think that very easily could have happened. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, because he calls it a woodshed, but then he calls it a tin box. So, like, I keep forgetting that it was made of metal. But they were like in one of those, what do they call them? Those bowls that they used to put people in, and then light the bottom of the bowl on fire, and they would cook it. What is that called?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know either.
Oh, it's something horrible they did, like in Roman times, in Greek times.
Oh.
Like, it was a metal tin bowl. And the stomach would open, and they would put a person in there, and then light a fire under the tin bowl. And they would
bowl, like Bull. I thought you were saying bowl.
No, bowl, like a horn and male cows and stuff. There's a word for it.
Like a medieval torture method.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like horrible. It's like, and that's what that tin box, the black spot makes me think of. Like just a big basting bowl. That's not what it's called, but you get the idea.
Well, that's the other thing, is you have to remember, not only do you have people pushing against the door, but the flames and the smoke and everything, like at a certain point, I don't know exactly how fires work, but it might not be possible to open that door.
Yeah, I
'Cause
guess.
I think
And I
there
was
is a
thinking about
certain
that. Like, is
number.
that fire code? I wonder that you can't open a door inward. But no, I can think of plenty of doors that go in and not out when you you know what I mean? They seem backwards. That you have to pull to get out. So, but you would think that would be some kind of fire code, like enough lifeboats on the Titanic now, or on ships now.
Well, it's not like this was a this was not a building constructed by the city council.
No, I know, but I'm thinking like I wonder what it's like now. Like if doors are allowed to be built that way. My brain goes weird places.
And now that you say that, all the exit doors I can think of always do push
Go
out.
out. Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was trying to think of an example, but I couldn't.
I think I have to have a restaurant door or two that open the wrong way, which seems like a bad idea because there's some cramped spaces in those cases.
Well, that's a good point. So there are some, like I'm thinking of like Chinese restaurants. I know I can think of for a fact where they open in, but they're not like the kitchen doors. Like the exit doors are always push out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, just one of them tangents. Okay, the balloon burst with a bang, and that's the end of part 2. Anybody got anything else?
No, I very much am enjoying this book.
Yeah, man. It goes. I always wait till the last minute to read it, but it's awesome when I do.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's.
Well,
I always think, I'm like, how am I gonna get through 100 pages? And then it's like there's 10 left, and I'm like, well, that was fast.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll spend 2 hours reading, and then I'll take a break, and then I'm like, oh well, I'm done. I didn't need to take a break.
Yeah.
And you know, I try to save my reading for the second week, so it's fresher in my mind. Not necessarily the night before, but that's working out that way. But, and then I do, dissertation stuff the first week, so it splits it up. All right, so look at the.
Well, 453 to 609. If we did all of part 3,
look, we're 500 pages in, and they're just fucking meeting each other as adults. Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, they still haven't even included Mike as when they were kids.
That's true.
That's true,
We
yeah.
haven't gotten to a rock fight yet. The epic, I think he calls it the epic rock fight or something.
And we finally learned about the fridge.
Oh, I hate the fridge.
Who's the fridge? Hochstetter?
Patrick, yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's one of. I wonder if that's an interlude. It's one of those. Oh, there it is. It's in part 4. The death of Patrick Hochstetter.
Oh.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I just saw that.
I don't see. Oh, there it is. The apocalyptic rock fight. Ooh, yeah, part 4. So Mike doesn't join till part 4. You kidding me?
Wow.
Well, I think part 3. It's called Grown Ups. I think
They're
it's
all. Yeah, I'd say it's all when they're adults.
I gotta say, I don't like the adult parts as much.
I had the same thought. I was like, oh, cool.
He's just so good at doing the kid thing. I don't know.
I feel like, so we can definitely do all of part 3. That's only, what, 160 pages?
Well, include
and the interlude. And the interlude is what I meant, yeah.
67, 481, 100. Yeah, about 180. Yeah, we can do that. Let's do part 3.
Okay. Sounds good.
What is that? 2 weeks from now? Is that when you're here?
Yeah, I'll be gone next week, so that's perfect.
So you're gonna do the podcast from here?
Oh wait, yeah. You mean literally when I'm at your house?
Yeah, literally get here in person. Ooh, we should watch one of the hits.
3rd is the day that we're going to the Ren Fair. So are we still? I don't know if you want to do it that day or.
It sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Wifey, what time we go into the Ren Fair?
We usually go when it's open, but I don't know.
What time is it open? 10?
It opens at 11. I mean,
I don't know that I necessarily want to do them both on the same day.
No, I don't think I do. It sounds like a lot. And Saturday's not going to work, right? Because you're not coming up till late. So I start working 2 jobs that Monday, or the Monday before that. I don't know what day works. You're working that Saturday, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I guess it's gonna be Friday or Monday then, or we push it off to the next. Do you want to give it an extra week since it's kind of big with 180?
No, I can't do it the following weekend. I'm gonna be going to New York for a concert and then going to Six Flags that Monday.
Ah, what? In Great Adventure Six Flags?
I don't know. It was Matt's idea. I'm like, what? You want to die?
All right, you gotta call me back when this in a second, and I gotta tell you about something.
Okay. So I would say if we can do it on like any other day before then, that's fine. Like a weeknight or Friday or Monday or something.
Pick one. Let's do Monday. Fuck it. I'll just do it from work if I have to.
Monday the 4th?
Yeah. Or do you? Yeah. Friday or Monday. Pick one. Allie,
That's fine with me, Allie.
Yeah, I could do the 1st or the 4th, and then after that, I'm gonna be gone for like 2 weeks. So that's really the last time I could do it for a while.
Oh, is that your last one? Is that what you said?
Until
No.
like the end of October.
Okay. Then let's do Friday tentatively. I don't know. I don't have a time yet. I'll see how that goes. But probably like 7. Does that work? That's right. It's shift change for me, so
Yeah, that's fine.
that'll be a slow time. When all the new nurses come in, so they haven't discovered all their problems yet. I do IT for the hospital. Sorry, that was a little thing.
Oh.
So this is all getting cut out at the end anyway. So we talk for 10 minutes. We don't need a minute. So end of episode 20. Everybody say bye.
Bye.
Bye.